Alright, so basically the Goetic Warlock lore, a gift of flesh. It's been quite some time since we've had some French Crusade, and I really enjoyed their last official one, which was the lion, which has something to do with the Lions of Jabir being handled or going around running errands for its master. And now we have a new official lore of the Goetic Warlocks and a gift of flesh. Not really sure how that works because still here's the thing, right? Last time we had like a serious discussion about this. I believe that some games or some systems literally just go overboard with the whole grim dark thing. Like in 40K what you call it, corpse starch is bad enough, and then in Warhammer Fantasy, I don't know, human sacrifices and stuff like that, which is run of the mill. But anyways, I believe at some point the whole thing just feels gratuitous in a sense, like Nurgle, right? There's so much gore in Nurgle, but I believe in some of these cases or in some of these their units that they've shown, you really don't need to like do that. Like you really don't need to flay the flesh of children to make a point that this whole thing is grimdark. But anyways, like I said, always have and always will be about storytelling, and so far we have enjoyed some of it. Okay. There we go.
Gideon's eyelids had been the first things the Warlock took from him. As a
Really? We were just talking about people getting flayed. And now we have a man whose eyelids were just peeled away. I remember in that film, remake Hollow Man with Kevin Bacon, he couldn't sleep when he would turn into the Invisible Man because you know what, he couldn't, even if he closed his eyes, his eyelids were transparent, so he could still see light.
child, he'd been afraid of the dark,
There we go.
begging the friars to allow the dormitory candles to remain lit through the night. But they had always refused, never once sparing the rod for displaying such craven fear.
Craven fear.
Now,
He was a child. He was supposed to show craven fear. But I believe this whole thing is just gratuitous, right? I mean, like for example, in our Sith system, yeah, of course we have the flayed man of Frey in Game of Thrones, but they don't really, describe or provide the actual graphic or visual of people getting skinned alive.
he wished for darkness. Anything to spare him the pitiless illumination of this infernal workshop and its inhuman craftsmen.
Inhuman craftsman. A gift of flesh.
The chamber's walls were dark stone and sweating iron, lit by thousands of candles fashioned from human tallow that filled the air with stinging, acrid smoke. Beyond the chamber, Gideon heard endless hammer blows, screams, and the monstrous bellow of hell's innumerable foundries. Nailed through his wrists and ankles to a spiked wheel of fire-blackened wood, Gideon could only watch as the Warlock toiled, hunched over a workbench fashioned from the bones of both things human and things that mocked God's perfect designs. All around the bench, stretching frames bore translucent sheets of veined skin that had been agonizingly peeled from his body with painstaking precision. The Warlock ceased scraping the jellied runnels of marbled fat from the flesh it had removed from Gideon's body.
Fat from the flesh it had removed from Gideon's buttocks. See, we don't need to hear that. We know people get flayed. But come on! But you know what? I believe some people like this sort of deal, and just so happens I'm not one of them. But yeah, let's keep on going.
Buttocks, ready for bleaching in the basins of lime and unholy water.
Unholy water.
With every
Can't it be just regular water? Does it need to be unholy water?
sheet it flayed from his once generously proportioned body. Gideon had unwillingly learned the myriad steps required to transform human skin into pages for the grimoire it was preparing.
Alright. So, the Warlock is preparing a grimoire. So here's the thing, right? I think if I'm not mistaken, in Harvard they have like a copy of a grimoire. Like cover is made from human skin. Can someone put it down in the comments? So apparently we have a process here of how it's made, and here the subject or the donor of the skin that's meant to be used for the grimoire needs to be kept alive for some reason.
The Warlock rose to its full terrible height and turned to face him.
Like how
The
high?
fleshless bone of its exposed skull gleaming in the candlelight, like something freshly prepared for an ossuary. Its surface was scrimshawed with blasphemous formulae and held in place with wire-wound cables. The armor it wore was a horror of bronzed plates, etched with infernal prayers and Goetic scripture. Its joints crudely welded in such a manner.
So is Gideon some sort of a POW, or is he some sort of a civilian that simply got caught in the middle of this?
That it could never be removed. The arms and pauldrons grafted with thorn spikes and bladed hooks. Tall and rail-thin, it moved with loping, hungry strides. Its two long arms, twisted at unnatural angles and tipped with razored claws. It bent its crook-backed spine to meet his gaze, saying nothing. It regarded him with utter indifference, its charred eye sockets like depthless black voids.
I wonder if this is what a slaughterhouse looks like for animals, because like it just reminded me of Animal Farm all of a sudden. I wonder if there's like a poetic cow, pig, or duck or chicken out there somewhere. Is this how they described the butcher or the people who work at slaughterhouses? Like it regarded them with utter indifference. Its eye sockets red with blood and everything. I mean, this could be like a good POV for a film about an animal going to a slaughterhouse. One for the vegans, I suppose.
Gideon couldn't close his eyes, but nor could he look away, for iron clamps drilled into the side of his skull forced him to stare unblinkingly at his captor.
Why?
Its needle nails drifted over his exposed musculature, the agony making him beg yet again for the release of death. Frantically, he babbled information on the commanding officers of New Antioch, the city's defenses.
Okay, so he's a soldier of New Antioch, and yeah, he got caught. Yeah, so no mercy for POWs then. I mean, no prisoner exchanges are gonna happen then.
Anything to escape this unceasing horror.
Unceasing horror.
The Warlock leaned closer, breathing in his bartered treachery like an exquisite perfume.
I love that bartered treachery.
Gideon's face with its bladed fingers, caressing his cheeks for a moment with the touch of a lover, before their tips pierced the soft meat behind his ears. It drew the curved blades at his thumbs and forefingers along the line of Gideon's jaw and temple with a surgeon's care. The cuts made with inhuman precision until the blades met at his chin and forehead. Gideon's hysterical pleas went unheeded as the Warlock detached his face from the muscle beneath with a sharp, downward jerk.
Crap!
The pain was blinding, and for a moment, he was pathetically grateful for the darkness that followed as his mind fled into the abandoned recesses of his head.
So he went into his happy place because of the pain. But if you think about it, like how deep does like a blade have to go before you don't feel anything anymore? There was this scene in The Last Castle. James Gandolfini and Robert Redford. One hell of a film. Anyways, the one guy got shot with a rubber bullet, and Robert Redford's character was talking to like the doctor who was a prisoner. Anyways, the guy who was shot with a rubber bullet came to their table and said, "Hey doc, how come it hurts so much? I got shot before, but it didn't hurt like this." Oh, and the doctor answered, "Oh, the reason for that is because bullets, when a bullet enters your body, it's like the nerve endings are destroyed, so you don't really feel it that much. The only downside is that it will kill you. Whereas if you get shot with a rubber bullet with blunt force trauma, your nerves remain intact and you're gonna like feel the whole thing for quite some time. So yeah, interesting.
The howling agony subsided and his vision swam back into focus. What remained of Gideon's frayed sanity finally snapped, as he saw a vision of himself standing before him, perfect down to the smallest detail. He could only scream once more as he watched his mirror image reach towards him to force his jaw open, tearing sinews and cracking the bones with a dry snap, before reaching inside and ripping out the raw meat of his tongue. The monster stuffed its bloody prize into its own leering mouth, as though it meant to devour it, working the muscles of its newfound flesh as the tongue squirmed into place. As Gideon's consciousness began to fade, the fiend finally spoke. Hell welcomes your gifts, said the Warlock. At first, the words were a hideous echoing.
Would you like, call them gifts if that was forcefully taken? You guys remember that Harry Potter scene where they had to do this ritual in order to resurrect Voldemort into full power, like blood from the enemy forcibly taken, blah 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 blah. Flesh of the servant willingly given. Interesting. Like you could definitely see the parallels.
Approximation of humanity, but as it spoke, the sound slowly modulated, changing pitch and softening until it perfectly matched the warm tones that Gideon had once thought of as his own voice. I am certain your flock will be overjoyed to see their lost preacher returned.
He's a preacher, and being a preacher of New Antioch, he must be, involved in combat operations or something. The Goetic Warlocks.
Goetic Warlocks are nightmarish creations forged in the death factories of the Third Circle of Hell. Captured priests, prophets, vicars, rectors, and monks are tortured in fiendish machines that burn away their flesh with hellfire, encasing their still-living skeletons in infernal suits of armor, and stamping them with Goetic runes. The process is so agonizing that the victims, driven by desperation, willingly enter into demonic pacts, seeking an end to their unbearable suffering. Thus, a new Goetic Warlock is born. Now a ruthless predator, driven to hunt the very mortals they once swore to protect. The mere gaze...
Okay, so here's the thing, right? This is the same reason why torture is considered to be ineffective, because, people would say and do anything just to make the pain stop.
Of a warlock induces necrosis. In close quarters, they clasp their enemies in a merciless embrace. Drawing on Goetic power, they portal to a secluded location, where they can savor the prolonged destruction of their victim, slowly shredding them into pieces. They revel in the grotesque act of skinning their victims alive, transforming the remains into repulsive vellum for dark grimoires and profane religious texts. Some even wear the faces of their victims to power their illusionary spells, confounding their enemies. Due to the rarity of the victims required to create Goetic Warlocks, these abominations are reserved for the most renowned heretic commanders, with the greatest need and the most influential connections in the twisted web of heretic politics. Mammon, the mighty devil of greed, offers his personal battalion of warlocks to the highest bidder.
Interesting. Highest bidder. I believe the whole thing is just, gratuitous in terms of violence. Like, giving us a description, which is, here's the thing, right? Some people would definitely like it. I mean, there's a reason why the works of Marquis de Sade exist. There's a reason why Saw films like Saw, Jigsaw exist. Is that people like them. It just so happens I'm not one of them, but I could definitely appreciate the literature and the art behind it. Anyways, you guys, it's a good story, so like it if you do. Subscribe!